If you're watching this channel, you might have heard about the MMA Guru, but just in case you didn't, the MMA Guru is probably the best MMA YouTuber out there, the most popular with the biggest fan base. He is making the rounds because he is starting to talk trash to a bunch of actual UFC fighters, and the UFC fighters are taking the bait and they're talking trash back to a YouTuber. And I don't mean YouTuber in a disrespectful way. It's just a very, very interesting thing that's going on. We're going to talk about all of that in just a second. I do want to say hello, everybody, and welcome back to another video. If you are new here, my name is Kyle. I am your guy with too many YouTube channels. Let's talk about the UFC and the MMA Guru. So, I'll start it off with the MMA Guru making a video after Petr Yan lost to Merab Dvalishvili, and I apologize, I always mispronounce his last name. So, Petr Yan is one of the MMA Guru's favorite fighters, so he was very upset. I can't remember if it was a live stream or a video. He was just constantly jabbing at Merab, like, oh my god, Merab, you suck, you're boring, blah, blah, blah. And should he have done that? He can do what he wants, but he went a little bit overboard, not going to lie. So, UFC fighters actually started talking trash to him, and this isn't the first time. We've seen Dan Hardy, we've seen other people. Off the top of my head, I can't remember who it was, my apologies. Dan Hardy was one of them that were constantly talking trash to the MMA Guru, and the MMA Guru is so interesting because he has such a big and dedicated fan base. I'm part of that myself. I think the guy's great. I think he's hilarious, you know what I mean? A lot of what he does is trolling, and the UFC fighters don't understand that. So one of the fighters that really spoke up after the Merab video was Terrance McKinney. He actually showed up in the MMA Guru's live chat, and it didn't work out because Terrance McKinney, poor Terrance McKinney, was alone in a live chat trying to talk trash to the MMA Guru, and the MMA Guru and everybody in the chat was just completely clowning on him, and it just made it look worse because Terrance McKinney started tweeting in the MMA, you know what I mean? It just didn't work out well for him because he had everybody against him, right? Now, other fighters like Sean Brady, Michael Chiesa, and other fighters are now clowning on the MMA Guru, saying this guy doesn't know a thing about MMA, and was John McCarthy one of them a while ago? Maybe that's what I'm remembering. Anyways, these really, really insanely famous people are constantly getting baited by the MMA Guru, and it's amazing to me. I don't understand why the fighters do this. Why they, not only do they take the bait, they just start talking trash. It makes them look like really petty. You know what I mean? Dan Hooker, for example, Dan Hooker was laughing about it, and that's why we love fighters like Dan Hooker. This made me think about it, and I was thinking about this by myself. It's because, like, we see Terrance McKinney and other guys like this, and I don't mean to clown on them at all. I really don't. Like, I don't mean any disrespect, but it's stuff like this, and where they just, like, pick another fighter, and then they get really butthurt because somebody said something. It makes them unlikable. And I started thinking about this by myself, where it's like, hey, that's probably the reason why we love Stephen Wonderboy Thompson so much, because the guy can laugh at anything. He has a famous clip out there, I'm sure you've seen it if you're watching this video, where he's getting knocked out by Anthony Pettis, and he has a great reaction. He's like, oh no, here it comes, oh, I got knocked out. You know what I mean? He can laugh about himself. That's why we love this guy. When fighters do this and they take random comments, I understand the MMA Guru isn't just a random guy. He's not just a random guy, okay? He has a very loyal and big following. But it's not to the point of like anything that like some of these fighters can get in their UFC replies. You know what I mean? It's like me as a small creator taking like, how would you feel if you were watching this video? There's like a few comments down below, right? But you see someone write something like, hey, Clen, you don't know what you're talking about. And then I just go, I do know what I'm talking about, actually. I do know what I'm talking about. Who are you to talk to me like that? And you just meet me in the street. Someone send me his address. It just makes me sound stupid. You know what I mean? It makes me sound petty. It makes me unlikable. That's what these UFC fighters are doing with the MMA Guru right now. And they need to just sit back and laugh, realize a lot of it is trolling. Did the guy go overboard with Merab? Yes. Yes, he did. But what's the big deal? Merab should be mad. Like, unless you're like best friends with Merab, I don't even know. Like, should he be mad? It's just a comment. You're famous. It's bound to happen. I just don't understand why fighters are constantly doing this. It's so easy. And I was talking about this. This is a little bit off topic. I was talking about this with my brother because I was explaining to him a bunch of prelim fighters, and then we started talking about how like, oh, I know this fighter, because my brother is getting really, really more into UFC. We were talking about how the fighters get famous and recognition because he understands some fighters. He knows them, and he got to know them through social media. We were talking about how Darren Till did it so perfectly. The guy could constantly laugh at himself. And most importantly, he got famous from memes and just being funny. You know what I mean? It wasn't even that funny. He just saw something funny and reposted it. Same with Derek Lewis. It's so easy to be likable, especially as a UFC fighter. Guys who aren't always on social media, you know what I mean? It's so easy, but these guys take that social media approach and they use it so negatively. They pick random fights with random people. And again, the MMA Guru is a little bit bigger than a random person, okay? But you see, it's not uncommon to see fighters just respond to random people. You know, I don't get why they do this. Fighters always want to talk about wanting more money and deserving more pay, but it's so easy to get your name out there like Conor McGregor. You don't have to talk trash. Just have a good social media presence. It's not hard, especially with the lack of UFC fighters doing it. I don't get it, and I don't know why all these fighters are just taking the bait for the MMA Guru. And Terrance McKinney, if he keeps this up, he's gonna be more unlikable than he already, like, people were loving him on the come up. It's gonna do a complete 180, just kind of like Paddy Pimblett. He's got to be careful. Fighters need to be careful doing this. And Terrance McKinney, there's a lot to like about him, but he's got to stop falling for this stuff. Same with other fighters. But right now, Terrance McKinney is the biggest part of it. You need to be like Dan Hooker. Laugh about it. If you can, be more like Wonder Boy. That's like the most self-aware that I've ever seen a fighter be. I love it. I love it. So I'll leave it up to you guys from here. Let me know what you think about all this drama. What do you think about the MMA Guru? What do you think about fighters beefing with him? It's not the first time we've seen it, and it's definitely not going to be the last. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. If you want to hear my full card breakdowns and predictions for this weekend, it's on the video up there. If you want to watch some TikToks together, I have another TikTok channel, React channel, where we watch TikToks together. There's some UFC ones in there, by the way. The video will also be on the screen here for you if you are interested. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next video. Take care.